right, welcome everyone. I am Dr. Neva, the CEO of Neve Alliance, and welcome to another knowledgeable platform where we share information on our webinar series. Today, as usual, I'm super excited about the experts that I'm able to get to speak on different topics on our webinar series. Now, today's topic is just, I think, resonate right across the board in different industries. It's called How to Differentiate Increase Revenue Through Customer Satisfaction in a Time of Crisis. And this will be presented by Christopher Bryan. Now, Christopher Bryan is an expert in his own right, and he's an entrepreneur, a quality engineer, and he's on a mission to transform the brand of customer satisfaction delivered by small businesses. He has developed customer satisfaction system designed to move any business owner from a mindset of survival to an exploration of how meeting your customer needs will transform your business. He has a mechanical engineering degree, and he also has a Six Sigma Green Belt certification. He currently works at Estee Lauder Companies, where he's a manufacturing quality engineer and managing different groups in the US, Canada, and Europe. He's going to tell you more about that. And I also want to plug that he has an upcoming book. It's called Building Better Communities Through Customer Service. I would like to welcome Chris, the father of one son and one daughter.
Right.
Welcome.
Good afternoon. All right, let me just make sure. Can you see my screen?
I definitely can.
All right. So, thank you so much, Dr. Neva, for allowing me to have this conversation with you and your audience. And I hope everybody's doing well in these challenging times. And I want to take a few minutes to share, how do you differentiate and increase revenue in your business through customer satisfaction, even in times of crisis? So, in times of crisis, people kind of automatically revert back to their basic needs, starting with their basic physiological needs of food, water, air, etc., then safety, and then progressing to other basic human needs. And I found it interesting that during this pandemic, people, once they realized they were going to be quarantined for some time, right, they ran out and they bought up all of the toilet paper, right? And I found it fascinating that toilet paper all of a sudden became this scarce commodity. But I think it's because people were looking to preserve their way of life. And I guess they thought that being quarantined and not having enough toilet paper was a scary thing. And, but it just speaks that, people depend on businesses to supply these goods and service that satisfy their basic needs to secure themselves and their families and their way of life. And a business that's focused on providing customers with these goods and services obviously can stand to be very profitable, right? But it's one thing to sell a product or a service to a customer, but it's another thing to really focus on the needs of that customer, because that business over the long term can become a part of the fabric of society and of the community. A great example is, let's say Procter and Gamble. They make Jiffy peanut butter and they make Clorox wipes. Where I live, you couldn't find those things on the shelf because people wanted to revert back to those things that made them feel comfortable and safe. So during these times of crisis, the formula for success in life and in business, I really don't think it changes much. What really happens, it becomes even more important to differentiate yourself and your business by really focusing on the basic needs of your customers and making sure that you have a well thought out plan to satisfy those customers. So what I want to discuss today is really three key elements of developing a customer satisfaction plan. Okay, give me a sec, hang on. All right, there we go. So, you know, businesses often give lip service by saying statements like, you know, we value our customers. And, you know, you could probably guess the one that people say the most, you know, the customer is always right, you know. And while these things sound great, but rarely do they have a well thought out process or a way to train and manage employees to administer customer service, or they don't have a way to control the various other aspects of customer satisfaction. You know, during this COVID-19 pandemic, what's really happened, it's changed the customer journey. And as a result, it has shifted customers' expectations in almost every single industry. And, you know, because of the threat of the virus spreading, because of close contact with other people, many industries are either shut down right now. And in order for them to really come back, they're going to have to really rethink how can they operate with their employees and their customers, implementing social distancing, but also customers are becoming more discerning with what businesses they patronize, you know, due to health concern, and also as the economy and the impact of this crisis really hits home, consumers are going to be more discerning as to where they spend their hard-earned dollars. So, you know, I say that it's even more key during this time of crisis that customer satisfaction and a focus on the customer's needs is every business takes a look at it and develops a real plan to make sure they're satisfying their customers. Now, what I want to really get home during this webinar is some key elements of creating or developing a customer satisfaction plan. Just a little quick background, and I'll go through these quick because Dr. Neva mentioned some of these things already. But, you know, I've spent the last 20 years in manufacturing, quality engineering, and management, helping companies develop and execute plans to ensure their customers receive products that meet their expectations. I've worked with dozens of manufacturers across the US, Canada, Europe, in ensuring that they have systems and processes to meet not only regulatory guidelines, but also their customers' needs. So now, with this being my background, it really disturbed me when I would go into businesses in my neighborhood and I would get poor customer service. And especially being Jamaican, this would really bother me when I would go into a restaurant and that was supposed to represent my culture, but I would get, you know, extra added, like a side of attitude, you know, on top of what I ordered. So, you know, that was the kind of the spark for me. I knew that if I could take some of the basic principles that I had used to help make millions for large manufacturing companies, right? If I could take some of the thought processes that I had learned there and take it and help people and businesses in my community to better serve their customers, to be more successful over time, and to be a service to their community, I knew that that could have a big impact. So that led me to developing my business, Customer Satisfaction Services, where I provide services and products that help businesses to guarantee the satisfaction of their customers, and also to help that business to thrive and become a cornerstone of the community. So, you know, as my slogan, my business says, customer satisfaction is not only your promise, it is your business. It's the basic backbone, but you can't just say it. You have to have some action behind it. And personal goal of mine is really to help raise the level of customer satisfaction for Jamaican-owned businesses, but also small businesses. I have a passion for small businesses because in any community throughout the world, really, small businesses are really the economic engine that drives that community. They hire the most people. And without those small businesses are the ones that are there in the good or the bad times. And as Dr. Eva mentioned already, that I'm writing a book titled Building Better Communities Through Customer Satisfaction. So a couple quick ground rules. When I say the word customer, think of it broadly. A customer is if you're providing a good or a service, whether you're a teacher, let's say, right, your student is your customer. Or if you're a real estate agent and someone's looking to buy their first home, that's your customer. So think of it broadly, because I think it applies, and having this thought process of identifying issues in your business and coming up with a plan to solve them applies across the board. So when I talk about customers, I'm talking about it broadly. And another thing is that, you can't build a sustainable business with a shaky product or service. So let's acknowledge that up front. So I'm not talking about the product, I'm not talking about the product specifically, like the way the food tastes or so on. I'm talking about all of the other elements of customer satisfaction that you also need to be focused on. So let's talk about it, the key steps in developing a plan to satisfy your customers. Now, the first thing is you really have to empathize with the customer's journey. They say that you never get a second chance to make a first impression, right? First impressions are very important, and a customer's loyalty is built from that very first interaction that customer has with your business, whether it's them simply calling up to find out your hours, or going onto your website, or walking through that door for the first time, right? Every little thing that they experience the very first time is key in them making the decision, am I going to come back to this place or not? They may subconsciously, they're making that decision from the very first time that they walk in. So as you set up your business or redesign it, you really need to look at every detail and every touch point from the vantage point of the customer. So the first thing that you really need to do in order to develop a comprehensive customer satisfaction plan is to do that. Walk through your business from the customer's vantage point, whether it's physically or virtually, but with the customer in mind. Just look at each place, each opportunity that you're going to interact with that customer. And, let's say if you're a restaurant owner and, the customer walks in the front door, is the spacing that they have to eat or to order food, is there enough space? The bathroom, is the position of the bathroom optimal? Is there enough space in the place? The location of the restaurant itself, is it located somewhere that's easily accessible? All these are little things that, we need to either think about in advance or rethink them and make sure that they're appealing to the customer in the first place. So that's step number one. Let me tell you about my dirty laundry for a little bit. So I take my clothes to the laundromat, the place that I live at, right? I don't have a washer and a dryer. So as there's a laundromat not too far, it's very convenient, and I could take my clothes there. I hate spending hours and hours washing clothes. I hate folding clothes. From I was a kid, I hated folding clothes, right? And the $20 that it cost me to drop off a load, I could take my clothes there up until midnight. Sometimes they're open. The staff was very friendly. There were all these benefits that, I said, you know what? I started dropping my clothes off at this laundromat. So I was doing this for a couple of weeks. And then I noticed as I unpacked my clothes that there was a pair of pants that didn't look like my pants. So I asked my son, Alec, is this your pants? And what he said, no. What we realized is that they had mixed in somebody else's clothes with my laundry. So, okay, I went to the laundromat. I talked to the owner. Of course, he assured me, no, I'm sorry, this will never happen again. So I was, okay, I'll give him another chance. So a couple weeks went by, I had dirty clothes again. I went to wash. I come back home and I unpacked my clothes and I found somebody else's underwear in my clothes. I almost lost it. I was like, no, this is not happening. I'm out. I'm never going back to this place. So, you know, in this example, this business owner obviously had not thought of or walked through the process of picking up clothes and all the other touch points with his customers, right? To see where things can go wrong. Obviously they had no system in place to satisfy one of my basic needs of getting my clothes clean without getting somebody else's underwear, right? That's a basic need of mine. So again, the first step in creating a customer satisfaction plan is knowing and understanding and walking through the processes in your business from the vantage point of the customer. Okay. Now, the next thing is, once you're doing that, look for the problems, look for the potential areas where something can go wrong. By acknowledging the various interactions and where your employees and your staff can interact with customers and seeing where, okay, I see, or even the complaints that you get. Looking at these areas, what you want to do is identify the issues, the actual issues that happen along the customer's journey. And things happen, and this is real life, so things are going to happen, and you're going to have complaints. The question is, what are you going to do about it? And so once you've identified these issues, really now is, you have to put in place fixes, solutions to prevent these problems from happening in the first place. A customer satisfaction plan is a part of your business plan, really, that you need to build it in, and then train your staff so that they can now implement and execute these fixes that you've put in place. And it's at that point, then you could say that you really have a customer satisfaction plan. Now, in this example of my dirty laundry again, obviously this business owner, he had not taken the time to identify that this could happen. I don't know his business, but if it was me, and I would be looking at, okay, how does he you collect my clothes, I have it in a container, a bag, or something, I give it to you, you go to wash, you go to dry, you go to fold. How are you preventing my clothes from being mixed in with other people's clothes? I mean, I would hope they're not purposefully washing my clothes with other people's clothes or drying my clothes with other people's clothes. I don't know, but I'm not going there anymore anyway. So my point is that in that example, though, you want to walk through the business, know what's important to the customer, identify the areas where it can go wrong, and then implement a fix to prevent it from happening. And in those areas where things happen and you know that you're gonna have something happen, then how do you recover from an issue that happens in your business? How do you either provide a reimbursement or a rewards process or so on? So these are all elements of a customer satisfaction plan. So, once you've identified the primary needs of your customer, and you've identified the areas of the business where things could potentially go wrong, and you've developed systems or processes to prevent them from happening, now you have the basic elements of a plan to guarantee the satisfaction of your customers. And as you bring these points together into a customer satisfaction plan, now you can build a blueprint that you can write into your company policies and your culture, right? And you can now train your employees and empower them, really, because now they know how to solve things before they even happen. And if they do happen, they know what to do to take care of that customer, because the whole bottom line is you want that customer, regardless of the experience they have, even if something does go wrong, how do I recover? How do I regain that customer? And that's all a part of your plan. It's really at this point that customer satisfaction becomes controllable to you as the business owner. And once it's controllable and you can basically, you know that every customer you bring in is going to be staying with you, and they're going to go, more importantly, they're going to be repeating, singing your praises and not doing what I did, right? I was talking negatively about the laundromat. No, they're going to be singing your praises and referring and telling people to come and use you. And that's what you want. And when you have that over time, you have a sustainable business that's going to grow. And, and I really see customer satisfaction linked, it's proven that customer satisfaction is linked to business success and longevity. And when you have small businesses that are successful in the community, they're able to hire people, right? They're paying taxes, and they're able to be a staple place in the community where people can go to their goods and services, especially in times of crisis. There's a couple of restaurants that I know that during this COVID-19 pandemic, because they've been around and they're doing well enough, they were able to donate lunches to the nurses and the doctors at the hospitals here. And they were able to do that because they're stable and they're thriving and they're a part of the fabric of the community. So that's why I say, building better communities through a focus of customer satisfaction. And, businesses, neighborhoods, cities, our countries, and the world can really thrive through a focus on customer satisfaction. So with that, I want to thank Dr. Neva for inviting me. Again, if you want to stay in touch, there's two ways that you can do that. One is I have a Facebook group where we basically focus on and highlight, building better communities through customer satisfaction. If you go to facebook.com/groups and BBCTCS, which is for building better communities through customer satisfaction. If you go there, you're able to join the link and participate in that group. And also my website, I actually have a article that I wrote titled "The Top 5 Killers to Customer Satisfaction," and it outlines 5 key areas in your business that you want to have control over so that you can guarantee the satisfaction of your customers. So on that note, thank you so much again, Dr. Neva. And if you or anyone else has any questions, I'll stick around and answer them.
Definitely. Thank you so much, Chris. Really appreciate that. Got some insightful tips. Just some to the participants online or the attendees online, if you would like to ask a question verbally, your video will not be on, just audio. You can raise your hand and I will unmute you so that you can speak up. Again, don't worry, we will not see you, just in case you're worried about that. But if you want to ask your question, just raise your hands and I'll unmute. But on your side, you'll also have to unmute for me to hear you. That's one. Number two, if you have any questions, you could drop it in the chat box or Q&A, and I will read it if you don't feel like speaking. All right. So, Chris, I really appreciate the story with the